How you liking Bali, man?
Bali is crazy. I mean, I can't believe I'm here, man. Like I posted on my story yesterday. It's like a year ago, I was the guy on my phone, late nights, on Reddit, on TikTok, on Instagram, watching your stuff. I was just like, you were actually one of the guys I liked, you know? I
Mm,
like the problem is there's not like the information only takes you so far. I needed implementation and I just didn't have that because I never decided to make the choice to go all in,
mm.
you know? But it's crazy, bro. A year ago today is almost my 1 year anniversary of my last panic attack.
Wow.
And that changed everything for me, man. But I'm glad
Wow.
I'm here, bro. Super
It's
glad.
great to have you, man. Just the mic, man. You might need to
Should
put
I
it a
get
bit.
closer?
Yeah,
Oh,
just like
sorry.
put it here, man. You can move the stick.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, we met up yesterday. Went for a nice steak, man.
So nice.
It was nice, wasn't it? And just hearing your story is just incredible. Your rise to being a coach, making a massive impact. It's honestly inspiring to see. And considering that you had, your last panic attack just around a year ago, I've never heard of that where someone's stepped into this role as a coach with the confidence you have and with the transformations that you're creating with your clients. It's really got a massive respect for it, man.
Thank you, bro. Thanks.
So just want to say that. And let's go back to when anxiety started for you. Let's do that. Tell me the day the disorder started.
The day. Yeah, man. I mean, it was January 12th, 2024. And I'll never forget that day because it was the first time I had a panic attack. And that's when, your life comes crashing down. Like, I smoked weed. I mean, I was smoking weed for a while, a couple of years. But this time specifically, just, to be honest, it was also a mix of I got into mushrooms. And I might have overdone it. And, it was just like a bad experience one time with it. And I smoked the day after and that just kind of brought back everything. It was like almost like a traumatic defense mechanism where I just went into like a really deep freeze, like shock. Like I could not move. My heart was racing out of my chest. The intrusive thoughts came in like I've never felt in my whole life. It was insane. And I almost had like a psychotic event that night. And it was like nothing made sense. I didn't feel real. Everything was like a movie. My best friend who was trying to take care of me, I thought he was like the devil. And it really felt like I just broke something inside of my brain. I just felt like I was broken. And after that, bro, like I hyperfixated on like, what the fuck was that? Like that was insane. And I started to feel like even the next day I woke up and I was feeling like it was almost like a movie. Like I was watching my life through like a lens, like behind my eyes. But I figured I was just high, right? From the day before and whatnot. But then it just kept going. And like I tried to put it away for so long and like hide it beneath. And just like I was in denial for so long. I was in denial that it was weed. I was in denial that it was anything I was doing. And it came to a point where it's just like, I was so focused, I was so obsessed with it because it was so freaky, it was so out of body, to the point where it's just like it stuck with me for months, And it ruined me, it ruined everything.
What sort of symptoms were you getting?
Bro, like everything, especially like all the DPDR symptoms, like feeling like you're not real, feeling like your environment's not real, your family's not real, your friends aren't real, like you're a ghost. Like I remember feeling like genuinely like I could phase through a wall or someone could like walk through me. That's how empty it was inside. And it just doesn't make any sense to a normal person. But yeah, man, it just like feeling like, again, like I was living behind my eyes and I was watching all of this play out in front of me and I was just like on autopilot. Feeling like I was like up here, like watching my life from up here. The anxiety that came with that, just like being so scared, so scared, man. And the intrusive thoughts killed me. The existential thoughts killed me. That was another one. Like I would say my top 3 symptoms were the existential thoughts. I really thought I was going through like an existential crisis, like questioning everything about myself, my body, my eyes, the clouds, the sky, my friends, my family, my existence, what the fuck we're doing here, like in this, whatever this is. And it was, nothing made sense. My vision, the visual symptoms were really strong. Just like feeling like everything was like staticky, like a TV.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Did you get floaters?
Floaters, another
Yeah, yeah.
one. Floaters, just like, and I came to find out that's just your eyes being really hyper vigilant.
Yeah.
So it starts to like pick things apart in your vision.
Yeah.
I remember feeling like my vision was like flat, like 2D, like it was just like a wall, like no depth to it, nothing. When I was driving, like the cars just didn't seem like they were, I didn't know if they were close or they weren't. So many more, just like obsessive thinking too, just like the OCD side of things too. Just it can go on forever, man. The physical symptoms, feeling like your heart palpitations, hands sweating, like dizziness, lightheadedness, everything.
Did you get many panic attacks?
I didn't get like too many. I had about 4 major ones.
Wow.
Like major ones.
Not many.
Not that many, but
Yeah.
4 like really, really like it's over for me.
Wow.
Yeah, what about yourself?
Yeah. We've had a similar experience in terms of when the anxiety started, because I was at university. I was in my first year.
Same.
Yeah, there you go.
Same.
First year. I feel like I spoke to a lot of people. I've worked with a lot of people, and it's not uncommon for people to develop an anxiety disorder in their first year of university, because what happens is they go to university, they've got this newfound freedom, and they're like, oh, I get to go and get drunk every night. I get to smoke weed. I get to take mushrooms in your case, and just live this crazy lifestyle with no structure and no routine. And that was me, man. I was just out there partying loads, smoking weed loads.
Same.
Eating crap food, you name it, right?
Same. And it's crazy because you don't, in that moment, you're living life, right?
Yeah, yeah.
In your head, it's just like, man, like this is great. Like, and when you do have that first panic attack, you never think to yourself like, bro, I was living like an idiot. Like, what the hell was I doing? And you always like, for me, I would always reminisce like, man, my life was perfect. I was having fun. A lot of my clients have struggles with like, they like almost idolize their past life,
yeah.
but they don't realize their past life is what caused this. And in your head, it's like, oh, that was the dream. When in reality, that wasn't the dream. You know, you were normal, you felt fine, but you're living like an idiot. You were living like a loser. And that's how I was living. You know, man, like waking up at 1 p.m., like going to sleep so late, smoking every night, like going to parties, like drinking, you know. A lot of people don't live to that extent, like to how we did. But even just the not having passion, just like being lazy overall, that can really affect your subconscious. And you never would think that that's the case, you know?
Yeah, 100%. People are lacking purpose in university. They don't go for the course a lot of the time. They go for the freedom. They go for the lifestyle. And yeah, that's what, I didn't really enjoy my course, so I just got fucked up. And then there was one night where my friend thought it would be a great idea to bake a bunch of edibles. And I thought, oh, I don't want to do that. I'll have a few drinks. I'll have a few beers. And then he was, persuading me. He was like, Magnus, don't be a pussy. Come on, let's go back to my apartment. Let's take some edibles. I was like, okay, let's do it. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I took a bunch of edibles, a whole tray's worth. There was 2 trays. Was one tray, but there's 2 layers to the tray. My friends shared the first layer of the tray, and I had the second layer all to myself. And there was 5 other people who were sharing the first tray. Mm-hmm. And there was other people, right, having panic attacks for the first time, taking these edibles. I haven't actually said that before. There was 2 guys out of the 5 of us who were having panic attacks.
Holy.
So there was something in that weed.
It was strong
that was
as
next
hell.
level. And especially because it was home baked and it was...
You never know what's in that, man.
Exactly. So I ended up taking the whole tray, and then I started getting really, really paranoid. I thought I lost my wallet. I was like, where's my wallet? One of you guys have taken my wallet. I was looking everywhere. And then that's when I had these existential thoughts for the first time in my life. The first time in my life I started thinking, oh my God, one day I'm going to die. One day I'm going to die. And that thought quickly spiraled into, it's going to be right now.
It's right now.
It's going to be right
like,
now.
Right now. I remember texting my girlfriend, I texted my best friend, and I just it's over for me. Like, thank you for everything. But it's that's it. It's over.
Yeah.
I was almost going to text my mom, but I just didn't want it to get to that point. Man, I thought I was going to die. That was it. It's just I accepted my fate. And it's so weird how dark it was in my head. Like, my inner monologue switched so quick to this was always going to happen. It was almost I was being possessed. It was almost this this entity telling me like this was always going to be happen. Like, what did you think? Like, this was your life. Like, and it's like nothing made sense. My memories didn't make sense. And just like, I thought I was broken, man, you know, and like the delusions, like thinking my best friend in college was like the devil, like trying to, I genuinely, like he was taking care of me and I genuinely thought like he was going to do something to me. I was thinking about ways to escape, possibly kill him. Like, it was crazy. Like, fuck, man.
Wow, that is next level. I didn't have that, to be honest. I was paranoid, but I didn't have those sort of demonic thoughts. So that's, I can't imagine how traumatizing that was for you, because for me it was extremely traumatizing, and that's why I'm able to relate and empathize with what you went through. And that's the thing, most people who haven't had the same experience as me and you will never understand how scary and real that feels. Like, it really feels like your life is about to flash in front of your eyes. And for me, it was the scariest experience I've ever had in my entire life. I threw up loads as well, and I crawled part of the way home. And the weird thing was, I woke up in a bunch of my sick. I was like, I threw up everywhere. And I woke up and I was like,
you're fine?
I'm fine, you know, nothing happened. And I was
Really?
like, this is great. I'm just going to carry on with my life. And then a week later, I was revising in my room by myself, sober. That's when it hit me, the dread, the impending doom, the paranoia, the heart starts pumping. That's when it hit me. And that's when I hyperfixated. And that's what you said there, is the disorder isn't triggered by your symptoms, it's triggered by your response to the symptoms. Boom. It's triggered by your hyperfixation.
So true.
Because every single person, like, take the day I took the edibles, there was 2 other people having panic attacks. So there's 3 people having panic attacks. Only 1 person developed a disorder. Why? Well, I did take a bunch of them. That helps. But also, I fixated on it. And the same is true for you, right?
100%. And that's something I talk about so much. I talk about inside of my course. A lot of people don't understand that. It's not like that panic attack happened for me, right? The depersonalization, derealization happened, right? The next day I woke up, actually I wasn't fine. I did still feel high. I felt depersonalized. I didn't know what it was. But what I did that day changed everything. That day I remember I was like, why do I feel like my life is a movie? I go on Google, literally for hours, bro. Google, why don't I feel real? Why is my life like a movie? Go down Reddit rabbit holes for literally hours, bro. I'm hearing this shit called depersonalization, derealization. I'm like, what the hell is this? And like, did I just ruin my life? Yeah. And I'm on Reddit, like, seeing people had it for 20 years, 10 years, 30 years. I'm just like, I almost had another panic attack right there. I'm just like, that emotional connection to that moment of thinking my life was done, it triggered obsession in my head. Obsession. It's like, in the background, it cannot be shaken. Just like, you have this thing called DPDR, you have this thing called DPDR. Now all of a sudden your mind is really hyperfixated on this, and it's starting to project this reality onto you, where even if you're feeling fine, like even right now, even if we're feeling fine, because it was so real, because it was so fearful, because I still had anxiety, the whole cycle was just recycling itself, you know? And everyone who, like, all of my clients tell me the same thing. It all happened. Like, I wish I knew that to not research it, but how could you not research it if you are literally feeling like nothing feels real and you're gonna die, you know?
A bit of a psycho if you didn't, right?
Agreed.
If there's something bizarre happening with your body you've never experienced before, of course you're gonna research it. But there's not enough awareness and education on anxiety as an emotion, but also anxiety as a disorder. You don't learn this shit in school. You don't learn about your emotions in school. You don't learn anything psychology based. No. And Google's probably the worst. Like, Google single-handedly has, I think, affected millions of lives of people with anxiety and DPDR. Because when you search up, why don't I feel real? You can either get depersonalization as one of the searches, as one of the top results, or psychosis and schizophrenia. And when you see that shit, when you're in a state like that, that will ruin you. You'll go down another rabbit hole where now you think you're actually losing your mind. Now you think you'll never be back to normal. Now you think you might be schizophrenic. Now you think you might have psychosis. And that will trigger a whole nother fear in you that will stick so deep and it will not let you return back to normal life. No. 100%. It's insane. 100%, man. So I want to ask you, for the audience, what is DPDR? Because we went for a meal yesterday, I was sharing, Andreas is an anxiety coach, specifically a DPDR coach. All of them said, what's DPDR? So most people don't know what DPDR is. What is DPDR?
So DPDR stands for depersonalization, derealization disorder. And it's a disorder where you consistently feel like you aren't real, like things around you aren't real, and like you're almost out of body, living a human experience through someone else's eyes. The key distinction, because a lot of people experience depersonalization, derealization, like episodes of it briefly. The key distinction is the hyperfixation of it, is you can't let go of the thought, you can't let go of the feeling. And every time you think the thought, it brings back the feeling, because it brings back the anxiety, which triggers the whole cycle over and over again. A lot of my clients actually don't struggle with anxiety that bad. It's the DPDR, because in their mind, it's so strong. It has them on a hold like this. They can't let go of it. And that's what happened with me. You know, and it's all triggered from either a panic attack, anxiety, overwhelming stress, or it doesn't even have to have a reason sometimes. It just sticks with you. You feel it once and then it stays there. So, yeah.
Awesome, man.
And what about yourself? Like, what symptoms did you go through specifically?
Yeah, I went through a lot of symptoms. I experienced DPDR. I told you yesterday that when the panic attacks, so the first thing for me, it was panic attacks. I was getting these daily panic attacks, sometimes up to 3 times a day, which is just insane. That would be heart palpitations, adrenaline surges, DPDR. I'd go outside and I'd feel completely disconnected from the world. I'd feel like my head was on a stick above my body. I felt like I wasn't attached to my body.
Yeah.
And I'd walk around and have these existential thoughts. What's the meaning of life? What's the point in living if you're going to die one day? All this stuff. What's to say I'm not going to die right now? So for me, first of all, it was health anxiety. That was the first anxiety that developed, because I had this crazy, like, what I thought was a heart attack. And I didn't mention earlier, when I had that, when I was revising a week after the edibles, I had this crazy panic attack where the walls started closing in. And I started to like hear voices, I hear things. I started to freak out, my heart started to pump. So I ended up in the hospital, in the emergency room. And they put me in the waiting room. And I was shaking like this. It was a Friday night, shaking like this in the waiting room for a good 30 minutes. I was having this huge panic attack, like one of the biggest I've ever had. There was a guy that was like a drug addict behind me saying, hold tight, brother, it'll pass. He thought I was on some mad drug. I was just having a panic attack, man. That was the funny thing. It was like, hold tight, brother. I'm like, you don't fucking know. And
man, no.
So I literally barged because it's a Friday night in Newcastle, which is a very rowdy town. There's a lot of drinking. There's a lot of people getting in fights and stuff. So there's a lot of people beating up. I was just having a panic attack. So I goes to the security and I said, I'm having a heart attack. You're going to have to let me in, otherwise I'm going to die in this waiting room. He said, you're on drugs. I said, I'm not. Let me through now, because I'm going to die. I was like, I'll push and I was in that survival mode, so I was willing to push my way through the doors. So I basically pushed my way through. He was like, fuck it, okay, you go in. You need it. I can tell you need help. I sat on the bed. These nurses said, take deep breaths, because I was hyperventilating. And then my heart rate was at 200 beats per minute, which is crazy. And I was my vision was blacking out. But after that,
I've been there, bro.
Yeah, it's awful, isn't it? After that,
unexplainably awful.
No, it's like you're confronting death. That's how it feels.
That's exactly what it's like. You're literally face to face with death. You know, and it's funny because a lot of people don't believe the severity of what we went through, right? Because we're chilling now, we're in Bali on a podcast, and they see us living our lives. And this was me. I was the same way, where I saw your content, I saw other people's content, I saw recovery stories, and my mind would refuse to believe that they were going through what I went through. And that's something that a lot of people with anxiety and DPDR struggle with, is actually believing that this thing exists, and people go through this daily, commonly, and there's millions of them, you know? And I know because I've been there and I just didn't believe anything, you know? But like the severity of what we went through is not to be overlooked. We can talk about it casually, but that shit almost ruined our whole lives, you know? Almost ruined everything, you know? Severity was 12 out of 10 for the both of us. And there's no other way to put it. And I don't like being doubted of what I went through, you know? Because a lot of people...
Are you doubted?
Of course.
Yeah. What do people say?
Like I don't think I have been like doubted like directly too much, but I can feel it. I can feel it, and I know what it's like to be them, so I know what the doubt feels like. But man, it's like there's no words for it. There's no words for it, and it's like what we went through was the worst of the worst, you know?
Yeah. I get comments on my TikTok saying you've never been through it. That's the thing, because
me too.
Because I'm operating out of a victim, outside of a victim paradigm, not in one, outside of one. Because I say things that are triggering for people who don't want to let go of anxiety, who are operating out of a victim mindset, they don't believe I've been through it. But I know in order to overcome anxiety, you have to change the way you think. You've got to change your identity so you no longer are the person that you used to be.
Boom.
And people don't believe I've been through it because I'm not the same person. And me and you, we both have the receipts. So
for sure.
Yeah, I think it's just, people are always going to make comments, but yeah, it's severe. And after that hospital trip, I developed health anxiety, social anxiety, OCD, agoraphobia, housebound agoraphobia. I struggled to leave my apartment. DPDR like you've never known, existential thoughts. So I had like the whole shabam, and I had daily panic attacks.
Everything.
It was just, my nervous system was fried, man.
Fried. I feel that. It's a lot, man. Yeah. Thankfully I didn't go through the agoraphobia aspect of it. I definitely had health anxiety for sure. But, you know, a lot of people tell me like, online I'm very open, like I struggled for 6 months.
Yeah.
A lot of people say 6 months, try 12 years, right? And it's like always a competition with them for some reason. It's always like, oh, you only had the 3 years? I had it for 47.9 years. Like, what they don't understand, maybe...
They beat you, bro. They beat you because they had it for 40 years, man.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a flex or what, but what they don't understand is that I couldn't afford to live a second with it longer. I literally could not. You know, the suicidal aspect of it is so real. I could not live with it a day longer without doing something about it. So there was no option for me. Like, it couldn't have been 7 months. I couldn't have not been struggled for 3 years. I could not do that because I was about to take my life, you know? So it's not a competition of how long you've had it for. That's for sure. A lot of people like to compete. You know, I've had it for this, you know, is it really the same? You know, Magnus had it for 3 years?
3 years, 3 to 4
you know,
years, yeah.
I've had it for 10. Can you really help me? You don't need to relate to every single minute aspect of everyone's story to feel reassured about what you're going through. And that's something, again, I struggled with because I didn't believe any stories online. I didn't believe anyone can help me because I had this specific eensy-beensy, like such a specific story, right? And I thought that I needed the exact perfect solution. If not, it just, no one understands me.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand that, you know? I was so hyper fixated on being heard and understood, and but
yeah. What I love about your approach, and we'll get into your approach on this podcast, is you don't follow traditional anxiety recovery advice. You take different, let's say, different idols, different people who you looked up to, you know, figureheads like David Goggins. I know you recommend his book to your clients.
Absolutely saved me. Absolutely.
Yeah. But what I love about your approach is it's outside the box. You're just sharing what's worked for you. You got the results. You did it in, was it, how long, 5 weeks?
5 weeks I recovered.
So you recovered in 5 weeks, which is very possible when you've only been in the cycle for 6 months. Very possible.
Agreed.
I'm interested to know, man, what gave you the confidence, or what allowed you or enabled you to recover in 5 weeks when you didn't? Yes, you saw my content. Yes, you saw other people's content online, and you were driven. But what was it that enabled you to go, fuck it, I'm not living my life like this?
Bro, I know like other people seeing, like they don't believe that I actually recovered that quick, or it's hard to believe. I would have not believed it, because when I was in their shoes, you know, June 9th, 2024, almost a year ago today, I thought it was over. But you know what? What really changed it for me, what really enabled me to do that, was I had 4 options, Magnus. 4. Okay, number 1, I was going to take my life. Okay, so I was battling life or death now, immediately, right? Number 2, I was going to go to a psych ward because I thought I had schizophrenia. Number 3, I was going to live the rest of my life as a mediocre loser. We'll put it that way. Someone who quit on themselves, someone who could not man up and go through what they had to go through, you know, and everything was on the line. I had my future family on the line, my future kids. Something that really gave me so much motivation is I was imagining my future and what I wanted for myself. And I was imagining my younger self, someone who had everything and wanted to give everything to the world and had so much potential. And I could not say no to that little kid who just wanted to live, you know? And man, it's just like that brought me to tears, bro. Like that day, I think what really did it for me is when I told my parents about what I was going through. I have great parents, but I almost got into a physical fight with my dad because he thought I was just lying about everything. He didn't know what this thing was. He thought I was lying. He thought I was just making excuses. And that hurt me so much because I told him I'm going through suicidal thoughts. I want to take my own life. And hearing him say like, I don't care, get back to work tomorrow, and being so misunderstood by everyone, I genuinely just wanted to kill myself. And that was it. And that night was the night that everything changed. Without that conversation with my parents and that the darkest, deepest pain, I would have not decided to go all in. And I just said, fuck it. If I'm going to die, I'm going to go die. I'm trying. I'm going to give it my 110%. Tomorrow, I'm going to wake up. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to get it done. You know, and from there, I built a game plan for myself every single day that I could not miss. I could not miss all the non-negotiables that I had planned for myself. And I started to have some purpose to live. I had something to look forward to, you know? To answer your question, it was just that fire inside of me where I could not stand living the rest of my life labeled as broken, as mentally ill. I just couldn't do it, bro. Couldn't do it. That's not who I was.
And I think that's the big catalyst for change for the people who do recover. It irks their identity, it irks their soul, it bothers them on a deep level that this has become their reality.
Yeah, what about yourself? Like, what was the turning point? The turning point, like, almost everyone I've talked to who had recovered, they went to the lowest point of their life before getting to the highest.
Yeah,
like,
true.
and that's something I didn't know either. Because at that low point, I wish I knew you have to hit rock bottom. Without rock bottom, you don't have the motivation to get back up. But a lot of people, they stay in the middle. They never really hit rock bottom, so it doesn't bother them enough to change. And mine was so dark and so deep that it bothered me so fucking much that I could not stand to be in the DPDR cycle for a second longer. And that's why I recovered so quick. The pain, it was so deep.
I'll talk about my turning point in a minute. I just want to say that it's no wonder that you recovered the way you recovered, because when you take it personally and when you say to yourself, I'm not that fucking person, I'm not someone who stays stuck in this position, I'm not a person who settles for a life of restriction, of symptoms, that's when you recover, man. Because too many people are happy and comfortable to be in the cycle. It's probably going to trigger a lot of people right now. I hope it does.
Yeah,
because
agreed.
You're not gonna trigger people to change by going, oh, it's okay, just stay where you are. It's okay. Here's a coping mechanism. You're not gonna change anyone, man. So you recovered because you said to yourself, this is not who I am, and because you shifted you didn't even shift your identity, because your identity was that person before. But because that was your identity, that determined the actions you took. That's what determined the fire you had inside you. so many people have an identity of, I'm an anxious person. So that's why they don't recover.
You can talk about that. I
So, yeah.
100% agree. 100% agree. Too many people are too damn comfortable. They're too damn comfortable in the DPDR cycle. It's not they don't want to recover. They'll reach out to me or you. They'll comment. They'll try to do a little meditation here and there, right? They're actively doing something, but they don't want it bad enough to the point of change. They don't want it bad enough to where they don't understand what's at stake, Magnus. They don't understand that if they don't take action now, no one's going to do it for them. No one's going to come and beg them to do it for them. They're not, you know? And it bothers me. It bothers me so much that some people don't want it bad enough because they talk. They want to do this. They want to do this. And their actions don't reflect it.
Yeah.
You know, how could you go through what I went through and not think enough is enough? You know, a lot of people don't also understand that if they don't take action, they're going to live the rest of their life with this. You know, it's that simple. The longer you wait, the harder it is to overcome it because you've been settling.
Yeah, man. I couldn't agree more. And you're right. People don't want it bad enough. They don't want it bad enough because when you decide you're going to recover, you will recover. When you decide that you're going to do everything it takes to recover, you're not going to let any obstacle get in the way. You're not going to let any excuse get in the way. You're going to draw a line in the sand and say to yourself, no more safety behaviors, no more reassurance, no more scrolling on TikTok.
No more excuses.
No more excuses.
No more feeling sorry for myself. Let's fucking go.
Then you're going to recover.
That's it.
And that was the turning point for me. There was a few, I'm just thinking, there wasn't really one moment that changed my life. There was a few moments that changed my life. There was one that I always talk about that I remember. I was on a driving lesson with my instructor. And man, I was having, like, every driving lesson, I would have panic attacks. But I wouldn't show it to my instructor because I was so ashamed of the anxiety. So there was one time I was driving. I think I was like 15 minutes into the drive. And this massive, massive panic attack came on. Like, huge, bro. It was like, bam, 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 bam. And then I said to myself, I'm going to have to pull over. Like, there's no way I can. And the DPDR kicked in.
It's the DPDR while driving, bro.
It's the worst, man. But I was driving and I was like, I'm going to have to pull over. And then the last 2 to 3 years were just like replaying in my mind. Of all the times I decided to check my pulse, all the times I decided to call the helpline with the doctors, have I got an illness? All the times I went to the hospital, all the times I decided to avoid a social event, all the times I avoided a driving lesson. And I said to myself, I'm not fucking pulling over. I'm not fucking doing it. And you're going to have to kill me. You're going to have to kill me at this wheel right now because I'm sick of giving in to the anxiety. I'm sick of it. So that's what happened. I buckled up. I grabbed the wheel and I said to myself, you've got another 1.5 hours here of driving lesson. So I did 2-hour lessons. I'm fucking driving or I'm going out on a stretcher. And that was the moment where the anxiety got more intense because I was going against the grain. But then what happened was I didn't die. I didn't die. I was driving.
You showed yourself it's possible.
I showed myself it was possible. And then I realized I don't have to do a safety behavior again. And I made a promise to myself. No more checking your pulse. No more avoiding. No more stopping. And that was a moment in my journey where that was the beginning of the end because I wasn't giving myself excuses to avoid, to do safety behaviors.
Man.
That was the turning point.
That's deep, bro. Very similar with me, bro. Like June 3rd, 2024, almost a year ago, my last
Damn, you got
panic
the
attack.
dates.
Bro, yeah. Like, that was my last panic attack, man. And that night, I promised myself, to give you some context, I was in denial for months. While I had DPDR, for whatever reason, I still decided to smoke here and there. I wanted to prove to myself that wasn't the cause. I wanted to prove to myself that I'm bigger than that. And it's not the right way to go about it, man. Because when you're in that state, there's only so much that you can do, man. Like that the weed is going to trigger things again. And whatever. I smoked with my friend a little bit, and bro, and this is a kid that I didn't even like, he didn't know what I was going through, right? Smoked a little bit. We were watching like the Lego movie. All of a sudden, bro.
By the way, I love Lego. I have loads of Lego, bro.
I love that. The Lego movie started to seem really fucking odd. Like I was talking to my friend. He was asking me something about the future, about something. And I was like, man, what the fuck is he talking about? What am I doing here? Where am I? And the panic attack hit, and I'm just like, bro, give me a second. Like, I just can't talk right now. And then he was like, okay, no worries. And then whatever. I'm just like, man, I have to go. I don't know how the hell I drove. It was only like 15 minutes. Thankfully, I drove back in my house, and I just stood there. I was in my driveway for about an hour, just crying. And I was looking at myself in the rearview mirror, and I was like, I was so empty, I was so broken, I was so lost, I was so hopeless, and I promised myself that day I was never going to have a panic attack ever again. It was never going to happen again. And that was the only thing that got me out of that car, back to my house, and back into my bed. Just, I refused. I keep telling, I just refused to live that life. I refused to live with this shit. I could not stand it, bro. I could not stand it, you know? But Magnus, in your, like, if you had to put it into like not a sentence, but like a couple minutes, I guess, how do you overcome anxiety? You know?
You need to change the story you're telling yourself. If you're telling yourself, I can't heal, you're not going to heal. Boom. If you're telling yourself, I can't get in the car, you're not going to get in the car. Or you're going to create a lot of resistance when you're doing it, when you're in the car. So the first thing to do is you need to stop telling yourself the limiting stories. That's the first thing. The second thing is you need to expose yourself to the anxiety relentlessly, all the time, every single day, no excuses. So it's simple. Tell yourself a new story, remove the limiting stories you're telling yourself, and get proof that you are the person who can handle anxiety.
Boom.
Get proof that you are the person who is resilient, who doesn't shy away from anything, and then you'll overcome it. It's that simple.
Need the proof. You need the proof.
Affirmations in the mirror are great. Mm-hmm. Okay, helps rewire your brain. But what actually rewires your brain permanently is proof. Because if you're saying, I can climb a mountain, but you don't actually climb the mountain, it's just words.
Just words. You need to show yourself it's possible. Mm-hmm. You know, and I work a lot with the brain, the subconscious mind, breaking those self-limiting beliefs, changing your habits, changing your actions. And like everything you said was right, you know? I mean, I deal with more of the DPDR side of things, but even then, like, you know, in my case, like for my clients, how do you overcome DPDR? First of all, I want to say it's not as complicated as it seems, you know? When you're in it, you feel like it's mission impossible. There's no fucking way you can overcome this. And the truth is that you're only a couple weeks or a couple months away. You know, with my help, of course, we can get you there faster, but every single person on this planet can overcome it. They first need to decide that enough is enough. That's number one. They need to get to the point where enough is fucking enough. It burns their soul so much to the point that it's not about how they're going to get there. It's they're going to get there. And that's what happened with me. I didn't fucking know anything. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how to overcome it. I just said, I'm going to figure out. That's it. I didn't have a choice. So that's number one, getting yourself to the point of I will do this. And you have to be delusional enough to believe that it's possible. Not from the beginning, because I didn't believe it was possible, mind you. But as soon as I took the first step, I was like, I can do this, man. As soon as you show your nervous system some stability, some predictability, something that you can do it starts to latch onto it, you know? So the absolute first thing I would say is that. From there, I would say, make a list for yourself, 5 to 10 things that you're going to get done every single day. Simple things. They don't have to be climbing a mountain. They can be going to bed on time, waking up on time, drinking this exact amount of water every single day, 2.5 liters, 3 liters. Okay. tracking your food is another one for me that I like to do with my clients, because first of all, it takes your mind off of everything you're going through, but also gets you very precise about everything. When your nervous system feels like, wow, this guy's got everything under control, like he controls every controllable aspect of his life, it's going to start trusting you again. And that's another big thing people don't understand. A dysregulated nervous system is just a nervous system who does not trust you. Does not trust you. It does not trust you. It doesn't like you, and it hates who you are. Literally that. And when you show your nervous system, I am the guy, I am that girl, I am her, him, it's like, okay, let's start regulating itself again. But too many people fall for the tricks online where it's like a tapping yourself in the face and butterfly hugs and this and that, when they don't realize that the best way to regulate your nervous system is through your actions, showing yourself you're indestructible, you're unbreakable. You know, as I was saying, 5 to 10 simple things per day that you look forward to, that you have to get done. No matter if it's your birthday, your mom's birthday, no matter if the sky's falling, no matter if there's a zombie apocalypse, you're going to get it done. And that type of non-negotiable aspect of things creates such a deep trust with yourself and your nervous system. You force neuroplasticity to happen through repetition, through intensity, you know? And soon enough, you're going to be so involved in becoming the best version of yourself and becoming that higher self, is what I like to call it, the higher self. The version of yourself you always knew you could become, but you never tapped into it because you never gave it 100%. Once your nervous system recognizes that and you're so just involved with becoming that person, you look back and you're like, man, what happened to that DPDR thing? Like, oh yeah, I remember that. But you were so focused on becoming this indestructible person to where that didn't even matter anymore. You stopped caring about it. And that's another key point. You have to genuinely not give a fuck. That's one of my mandatory rules inside of my program. You have to genuinely not care whether it goes away, how long it's going to take, and just about it at all. Just do it for you. Do it for yourself and show yourself what's possible.
I love what you said there about control every controllable. And
absolutely.
Just to elaborate on that, your nervous system needs a leader. You know, the butterfly hugs, havening, aren't like, they're helpful, right? They create a feeling of safety and relief in your body. They release chemicals in your body that make you feel good. Breath work is a good way of activating the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the nerve that relieves you of anxiety. Problem is people rely on that to alleviate the anxiety solely. If you are doing a butterfly hug, but the captain isn't at the front of the ship, guiding the ship, in other words, you're not showing to your nervous system you're safe through your actions, through your relaxation, through your confidence, then you're basically butterfly hugging and you've abandoned the ship. It's like the ship is literally floating away into the distance and you're there like just rubbing your arms, and it doesn't mean anything. It's about the energy behind regulation. It's all about your mindset, to be honest. Your mindset is the biggest thing. It's the biggest thing. It's the
mindset followed by action every time.
Mindset followed by action. Like, I'm not again. Like, I think nervous system regulation is great when you've got the mindset in place. So it's like, if you're feeling super anxious, you're let's say you're hyperventilating, or let's say like your breath's really shallow. Yeah, take a deep breath in, sigh on the exhale, relax the body. That's going to help create calm. But if you're just doing that and you're freaking out, oh, I'm having a panic attack, I'm not going to do anything.
It's such a coping mechanism.
It's a coping mechanism, yeah.
And it's crazy because it's such a popular thing. I see it on our For You page all the time. Someone talking about their nervous system regulation technique, EFT tapping. You can't, the boat is sinking. You have a bucket and you're trying to take the water out of the boat, put it on the ocean. There's a hole on the bottom of the boat. And that is what nervous system regulation techniques are. Like, you have to fix the fucking hole, you know? If you don't fix the hole, maybe you can stay afloat. If you go fast enough, maybe you can stay afloat for a little bit, but you're in survival mode. You're sinking. Like, every day, you're almost like sinking. Where you don't realize that your life is a reflection of everything. if your life is fucked up, you cannot overcome DPDR and anxiety through nervous system regulation techniques.
You can't.
It's never going to happen.
You can't.
It's never, ever going to happen. And people say, here's another thing. People say, bro, I've tried, I go to the gym all the time. You know, I take care of my food. I take care of this. But do you do it to the point where every single day it has to get done? Like, you're so fucking specific about it. No. And that's the truth, because I've been there too. I was also that guy that said, like, bro, I'm going to the gym. Like, I was going to work still. Even though it was terrible. It's another story. But whatever, I was still doing those things. And I never took it to the extreme.
Yeah.
And that's what you need. You need to take it to the extreme. You need to take it to the extreme. Especially if you want to overcome it. Like, I didn't get here by osmosis. I didn't get here by praying. I didn't get here by thinking that one day something was going to happen that was just going to click for me. I had to fucking do it extreme.
Yeah.
You know?
100%. And I want to touch on that in a moment with being extreme with recovery, because it's an important point. What I think just to comment on the nervous system as well. Your nervous system is always watching how you respond to symptoms and thoughts and everything in life.
Always. Your subconscious is always watching you. Always. Yeah, so what you think doesn't matters.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So if you're walking into a room and you're slouching forward and you're telling yourself that you can't handle anxiety, your nervous system's listening to that. You're basically coding your nervous system to freak out.
You're programming.
Exactly. And people don't realize this, is that when you change the coding, when you start telling yourself a new story, even if it feels delusional, which it does at first, I'm safe. I can handle whatever comes my way. If that feels like a complete false story, doesn't matter. Your brain doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's in your imagination. It's all in your imagination. So what I'd say to people here is, you need to tell yourself a new story. I'm a master of anxiety. Start telling yourself that you're a master of anxiety. Start saying that you can handle anything that comes your way. Mm-hmm. Start saying that you're a confident person. Mm-hmm. And just act as if you've already recovered.
Boom.
Like, relax your body. Like, how would the recovered version of myself act? Okay, they walk around. I own this room. This is my room.
Bang.
You know, what would my workout regimen be? I'd work out regularly.
Like a beast.
I'd drink water all the time. I'd eat clean food. Every time I had a fear, I'd go towards it. I'd shake someone's hand. Whatever it is. So that's the biggest thing.
Act like the person you want to become.
Exactly. It's authenticity. The best nervous system hack is authenticity. Just being yourself, stepping into the confident version of yourself. That is the best nervous system hack, because when you're being yourself and when you're in alignment with the life you want to live, there's no room for fear. Fear is a sign of misalignment. And
fear is a sign of misalignment.
It is.
That's exactly what I say. Anxiety is a misalignment.
Yeah.
That's it.
It is. And that's, if you want to go from a spiritual perspective, I believe that the reason I had panic attacks was a wake-up call. It was an awakening. It was...
So do I.
The universe or God's way of saying, Magnus, you're not destined to be a loser. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick you up the arse. I'm going to give you the worst panic attack you could ever imagine.
Man.
Yeah.
It's crazy how similar we think and how similar we experienced it. Like, I would have never thought it. And like, that's exactly what I believe. That the universe was trying to teach me something, and I am blessed now to have gone through what I went through, because I'm living the best life possible, And you said something earlier, I want to talk about like rewiring your brain, your nervous system, right? A lot of people get it wrong. Okay. Yeah. There's like a million ways to do it. There's like so many deeper aspects to it, but in reality, what I tell my clients is visualize for 5 minutes what the best version of yourself looks like. The best. Okay. How do they walk? How do they talk? How do they dress? What's their haircut? What are their habits? Most importantly, be 100% honest with yourself. What time are they waking up, and what is the exact schedule they follow to be the best version? Once you have that on lock, that's the roadmap. And that is it right there, because once you act like that person, you are actively rewiring your brain. You're not that person yet, right? but you embody that person. And when your nervous system and your brain, they learn through action at the end, they learn through behavior. When they see, wow, he's really doing this, you become that person. It's easy as that. You work backwards, you work backwards, right? So first you have to imagine, what does this person look like? What do they do? And the crazy thing is that deep down, everyone knows what that person does. They're just too scared to face it. So be very crystal clear on what that person is. What does the best version of yourself look like? Embody that person. That I have to put it in one sentence. If I had to leave this world with a concept, it's that. Embody the best version of yourself ruthlessly, and do not make excuses for yourself.
I love that, man.
And another point you said, the 100% recovered rule is what I teach my clients. It's such an important principle. You have to be delusional. So as you said, you are not going to feel 100% recovered yet. But right when you start your recovery journey, always change the paradigm, change the story you're telling yourself. Say, I am 100% recovered. Anything I feel is a lingering symptom, and it's not worth my attention.
Wow.
That is something that I have my clients affirm every single day.
Guys, you should take notes on this,
I mean,
that's important.
that's like $1 million concept right there. From the very beginning, every single one of my clients has it in their head, I am 100% recovered. Anything that I'm going to go through, that's fine. That's just lingering stuff. But my identity, my core, is a 100% recovered person. And that shifts everything. And that's something that I think has single-handedly transcend the lives of my clients, because they start to believe it. You're not going to believe it right away. That's for sure. But through confirmation bias, slowly but surely, you're going to start going to the gym. You're going to be like, damn, okay, I went to the gym today. Damn, okay, I ate good today. Damn, I went on a run today. And if you tell yourself 100% recovered, your brain starts to rewire itself to match that description. And the same works opposite. If you always tell yourself, I'm sick, I'm anxious, I have DPDR, I'm schizophrenic, your brain is so powerful that it will start to match that description. I remember when I had these fears of going schizophrenic, it was so strong on me that my brain was looking for evidence to make that statement be true. I remember even little things, I would see a flash or something, something normal in your vision. Yeah. And my brain would be like, fuck, I knew it. That's evidence to support my claim. And that's what confirmation bias does. The brain is absolutely awesome. I can talk about it for years. Yeah. And I do to my clients, but on the surface level, that's such an important concept.
Man, that's the most important concept in recovery. That's the most important concept. And it's interesting you said that, because I did that when I was recovering without even knowing I did that. And
Me too.
Yeah, and that's how I developed my philosophy. That's the thing. I never read this stuff. I just somehow, my intuition somehow knew it. It's like with the confirmation bias stuff. I think I was blessed that my identity, because I experienced anxiety for the first time when I was 19. Before that, I saw myself as a pretty confident guy, like someone who's outgoing. So when I had the panic attack and the disorder, it was such a conflict with who I thought I was, which was a blessing, because I was so ashamed of experiencing anxiety because it was so far away from who I thought I was, that I just started telling myself, I'm not an anxious person. That's not who I am. I don't have a disorder. I don't have an anxiety problem. And my nervous system was fried, man. I was having panic attacks. And I told myself, I'm anxiety free. I don't struggle with anxiety. I tell other people. And people would know, they could tell I was anxious. But I'm not struggling with anxiety. And what that did is it detached me from the habit of anxiety. Because that's what all anxiety is. It's a habit of the mind. Anxiety itself is an emotion that every single person experiences, right? Everyone feels anxious at times, whether it's finances that trigger that, whether that's just public speaking. It could be anything, right? It's a normal, healthy emotion. It's good. Like we talked about earlier, when you hyperfixate on it, when your nervous system goes into that, when it reaches its stress capacity and it's I can't deal with this anymore, your mind then fixates on the symptoms, and that's when it becomes a disorder. So what people do is they say, this is who I am. I'm an anxious person. I'll never recover. But the good thing about confirmation bias, which you talked about, is when you start changing your identity of going, I'm not someone who struggles with anxiety. I'm a confident person. Anxiety is just, it's an emotion that pops up. You're going to program your brain to basically experience symptoms and not give it any attention, because where you give your attention grows, like what you focus on grows.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're focusing on symptoms all the time, you're going to experience more symptoms. If you don't identify with the symptoms, if you don't identify with anxiety and you're putting it towards becoming the higher version of yourself, like you said, that's where your focus is going to go. So it's going to grow it. So that's the problem, which you said with the symptoms. People create symptoms because they're like, oh, I saw a flash in my eyes. That must mean I have like schizophrenia, right? When in reality, they've maybe the sun shined in their eyes, right? And then they've gone, fuck, what's this? This is abnormal. And then because their body reacts fearfully, then they validate that there's something, they've got schizophrenia or something wrong with them because the emotion in their body tells them that they're not safe.
Exactly.
It's an illusion. So what people need to say right now,
it's an illusion.
What you need to say right now is I'm 100% anxiety disorder free. Walk around like it. Or if that feels too far, say, I will be anxiety disorder free by the end of the year. It's happening. It's inevitable.
It's inevitable. Here's another key point. Once you understand the brain, you understand everything. Once you understand the brain, that's when you understand not anxiety recovery is possible, not DPDR recovery is possible, but it's inevitable. Once you understand how the brain's primary functions work, number one, the brain's primary function is to receive and process information. That's how the brain is structured to work, right? Okay, so let's think about that. All my brain is doing is absorbing all the information, everything, okay? Now, let me control what information is going inside of my brain. Once you control what information is going inside of your brain, you create a different reality. That's it. It's not a theory. It's a law. It's proven. That is the brain's function. That's what it does, right? So I teach my clients, you have to control every aspect of your life because that is how the brain rewires itself, you know? And I give like some crazy examples too, where I was like, if I threw you in the middle of the Amazon rainforest, you are going to have to learn how to survive there, right? You're going to learn a different language. You're going to walk differently. You're going to talk differently. You're going to be able to hunt. You're probably going to be a different personality, right? But you're still the same person. You're still born the same person. It's just your brain learned what it had to based on its environment, based on the information that it was given. That's how every brain in this whole world works, right? So if the forefront of your brain is always anxiety, DPDR, I'm going through this, I'm going through this, I'm going through this, you're focusing on that. And Tony Robbins said this. He said, we don't experience life, we experience a life we focus on.
I was going to say that quote
as well. That's it.
Yeah.
So if that's what's going on in your brain, that's what you're going to experience, you know? And I use a very specific example in my course. It's called, I call it 90-10. So it's like a circle. When you're going through DPDR, 90% of the circle is filled with DPDR. That's it. It's all you can think about. Anxiety, it's all you can think about. 10% is left for sleep, eat, I need to go to work, I need to talk to Magnus. But when you start focusing on different things and you start telling yourself, all right, tomorrow I'm going to the gym, I'm drinking this water, I'm going to bed on time, I'm going to work, whatever the case might be, slowly but surely you start replacing that 90% with different things. Little by little, it starts to become 80-20, then 70-30. And before you know it, it's 50-50. You have your life going on, you're involved in it, and DPDR is in the background. But slowly but surely, you're pushing information to your brain to force it to focus on something different, to rewire itself. And that's what happens with me. That's what happens with all my clients. At a certain point, you're at like 100% your life, and you forget about DPDR. And I relate DPDR recovery to like an ex, like breaking up with your ex. I say this all the time. This is one of the best examples, right? If you were to break up with the girl or the guy of your dreams, you're going to feel broken. You're going to feel awful. That's all you're going to think about for probably the next couple days, right? What you do in the next couple days kind of decides your fate. If you're hyper fixating on it, if you're looking back at all the messages, if you're going back through all the photos, if you can't stop stalking their Instagram, that breakup is going to be way harder to overcome because it's got you on a hold. It's got you on a leash, right? And what happens? How do you, everyone can relate to this. How do you get over your ex? What do they say? Live your life. Go do this. Go out. Go do this, right? Your brain doesn't know what that means. It doesn't know like, oh yeah, I have to go to the gym. No, all it's doing is it's replacing that information that it had in the past with new information. Mm-hmm. Time, everyone says time heals things. Your brain doesn't understand time. Your brain understands information. Information given over a period of time is what rewires your brain, is what gets you over your ex eventually.
I like that.
And that's what gets you over DPDR eventually too.
I like that a lot, man. I like that a lot. And I want to add to that. There's this model that I learned. It's called NLP communication model, and it's basically shows you how beliefs or how your life is determined. So what happens is every second we have 2 million sensory information coming through our 6 senses, right? So this conversation, your words, the background, the mic, everything, like there's 2 million pieces of information coming through my 6 senses. The brain can't filter in 2 million pieces of information every second. That's too much for the brain.
Too much.
So it filters it. Our brains are natural filters. And it filters what we see depending on our beliefs, depending on our habits, depending on our paradigm, right? So like Tony Robbins said, we only have one life and it's the life you focus on. Like when the science of that is that our brain, through what is called the RAS, the reticular activating system, filters out information depending on what our beliefs are. So I'll give you an example. If you believe that you can't heal anxiety, every time you see someone who's recovered from anxiety, like me and you, they're just not going to pay attention to us. They're not going to listen to our stories because their brain will naturally just delete it. The brain will delete, distort, and generalize information according to the filters through our beliefs. So when they see Andreas anxiety-free in Bali, they're going to either be in denial about it, like, oh, I bet he has anxiety, or he's lying that he had anxiety.
It probably wasn't that bad.
Or yeah, exactly. Or he didn't even have anxiety, like me. They'll tell themselves a victim story because their beliefs are in a victim state. So what happens there? When the brain filters that information through, the 2 million pieces of information, digests it and deletes information according to the belief, the information they actually receive, it's impossible, I'm not paying attention to Andreas' recovery story because it's not possible, that's their belief. That then changes their state. That then puts them in a victim state, a fearful state, a worrisome state. What does that do? That means that they're crippled in anxiety. They're not taking action. They're not going to the gym. They're not exposing themselves to new situations. They're not working a job. They're not getting in the car. And what does that do? That confirms that they can't...
Confirms it.
It confirms that they can't handle anxiety and that they can't get their lives back. And what does that do? It filters in the sensory information again, which then it's this vicious cycle.
Vicious.
So what you need to do is you need to start being delusional. You need to start saying to yourself, anxiety recovery is completely inevitable. I will be anxiety free in the next 2 months and I'm making it happen. And it's a fucking decision. This is what people don't understand. It's a decision. It's a line in the sand moment. I will be anxiety free. I will do everything it takes. That's all it is. It's a decision. People go, I hope. I hear, I hope. And I just want to knock them out, bro. Honestly, when I hear I hope. Way.
My clients are not allowed to say I hope, try, or probably. Everything has to be decisive. You cannot say words that aren't decisive.
Probably, maybe. Like, I call them out right away. Like, they're like, oh yeah, I'm probably going to go to the park later. Probably? What the fuck does that mean?
What is that? Go to the park. If you say you're going to do something, go and do it. That's it.
I'm going to try and go to the gym.
Try and go to the gym.
How do you try and go to the gym? You go to the gym or you don't go to the gym. This is what people with the majority of people with anxiety have a terrible mindset, but it's not who you are. And that's what people need to know. Just because you have a terrible mindset right now doesn't mean you can't change it.
No, and that's the thing. A lot of people think they're stuck. Your brain is infinitely programmable. It can reprogram itself to anything you desire. You are the author of the book. Write the book. Rewrite the book. You don't have to maybe you don't have an eraser on hand, but you can start rewriting a different story. And after a while, your brain is going to believe it. You are going to become that person. You know, the person I am today, I wasn't this person when I had DPDR. I was a pussy. I was a victim. I was lazy. I was indecisive. I had nothing. And I had to literally build someone who didn't quite exist, but I knew was deep down inside. And I made it happen. And that's something that Goggins taught me so much. David Goggins. You know, he was 300 pounds. He had a dream of going to the Marines. He had like 6 months to lose 180 pounds or something like that, 150 pounds. Become a Marine. The guy was working as a cockroach, like whatever it's called. He talks about this. I had to build someone who did not fucking exist. And I had to become that person and create that person every single day. And that's what I did. You know, I got myself out of that victim mindset. You know, and that's something we can talk about now if you want, the victim mindset of just like, there's a reason why in my content it's so much of mindset, because that's the first step. That's the first step. And a lot of people tell me like, oh, like, okay, how? But tell me how to do it. I can tell you how to do it, but it's obviously very personalized. Obviously depends on yourself. But the most important thing, I think the first step is to get out of that victim mindset.
Yeah. Because
I know what it's like to be comfortable in that victim mind. It's super comfortable. It's super comfortable. Like just people feeling bad for you, knowing that, I mean, my parents didn't feel bad for me, but I wanted them to feel bad for me so bad. I wanted someone to just coddle me like a baby. And it's the truth, man. And it makes you feel safe. But that's what ruins everyone. Being stuck, feeling sorry for themselves. I must be the only person going through this. I can't believe this is happening to me. Why me? Why me? Why me? No one understands me. No one has to fucking understand you. If you want to rewrite your story, you have to do it. You know, I had no one to understand me. No one. I didn't have a coach. Nothing. I just wanted it so fucking bad. I was not going to let anything stop me.
My question is for you, if you did it alone, if you did it with just stepping into the highest version of yourself, why can't other people do it and not bother hiring you?
Look, I empower every single person. They can't do it themselves. I did it myself. No coach, no therapist, no book other than Can't Hurt Me. No guidance, nothing. And the truth is that a lot of people can't get to themselves to the point of change. They can't. Because it takes so much. Like, it takes almost like like a superhuman level of wanting it to do it yourself. You know? I believe that anyone who's had it for under a year can do it themselves if they want it bad enough, if they create a plan for themselves and they stick it through the very end, no matter what happens, no matter what comes in their way, they can do it. For the people who've had a little bit longer, I believe it's very, 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 very tough. I almost believe, like, I don't like to say things are impossible, but at a certain point, your brain gets used to it, and you need someone to tell you exactly what to do, how to do it, how to approach every single day. And most importantly, is an overlooked aspect, is how to respond in the tough times. The recovery process is not rainbows and flowers. It's very fucking tough. And that one tough moment you have, if you don't know how to respond to that moment, if you don't have a support system to tell you exactly what to do and what to think and how to respond, you could go right back to square one. And that's what a lot of people struggle with, is they see some progress and they go right back to it because they don't have, in my program, we have no setbacks. There's not a single person that's had a setback because I'm there to tell them exactly the next steps to do. You know, absolutely, people can do it themselves. But if you want someone to tell you, if you're done with the BS online, there's 100 different channels and it just overloads your brain. You don't do anything about it. If you want a direct way to recovery, a one-way ticket to recovery, direct, clear, then why not have a coach? You know, if you feel like you need some help and for some reason you can't do it yourself, That's fine. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Reach out for help. Get the help you need. Do exactly what I say, what you say. I promise you're going to recover. There's no other way about it. You know, there's no other choice.
Yeah.
There's no other choice.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I want to first off start off by saying you can recover even if you've been in it 30 years. I've had a client. He's called John. Shout out to John if he's watching this. He started struggling when he was around, I think, 20, 21, and he's now 52. And he's broken the cycle now.
Boom.
Like since
with your help,
it's taken a long time. It's since August he started, and then I'd say in the last month he's broken the cycle. He's driving like 4 hours with confidence and
amazing.
But that took a lot of work, and he's a special individual, and it really does require a lot of work. It just does, and commitment. But there's definitely no shame in hiring a coach, and I think if someone reaches out to you or reaches out to me to contact us about working with us privately, one, you're paying for speed. You're paying for like someone to literally tell you exactly what you need to do. So you're not just taking all these bits of information online, piecing it together in a way you think's right. Because there's so much bullshit out there in the anxiety space. But also, you're not just paying for speed. You're paying for a guarantee.
That's it. That's it right there.
Because the truth is, the majority of people, if they just figure it out alone, won't recover. I want to ask you, why do you think you were able to do it without a coach and a therapist? What is it about you, man? Because I'm telling you, that is rare for someone to truly be in the place you are, to recover in 5 weeks without any help. What is it about you that gave you? I mean, I asked you earlier, but I'm genuinely intrigued about this because, like I said, majority of people won't do it by themselves, and even when they hire a therapist or a coach, they won't do it.
Man, it all stems from how bad I wanted it. And it was like, it was bigger than me. It wasn't just I wanted to recover. It wasn't even about me. At a certain point, I didn't care about myself. I didn't care about my life. I didn't care about dying. I didn't care about living. I just refused to exit this life, to exit this world without giving something my 110%. You know, I'm a lifelong athlete, so I know...
That must have helped.
That
must have helped.
It did. It definitely helped. Being a lifelong athlete definitely helped. And there was no other way, man. I knew I had so much potential in me ever since I was a little kid, and I needed to make it happen.
That's what I think it is. In my personal opinion, you were a D1 tennis player. You knew from a young age that you had massive potential, and it comes back to that piece about identity. And you were this athlete, D1 athlete. You believed in your potential. You had this feeling like you were made for more from an early age.
That's it right there.
And that's why you had the drive, because there was a misalignment. I think that's it. I think that's
huge.
what it is.
That's huge. There's a misalignment. It just like, it burned so deep in my soul, bro. Like I can't put it into words what I felt that day and the amount of, I just decided to take my life back. And that fucking empowerment changed everything. I could not have done what I did without that one day where I decided I will take my life back. It's in my hands. I have ultimate responsibility. I take accountability of everything that happened. I take accountability of everything that was going to happen from now on. And I just fucking did it.
I want to ask you about, why is it that people go on this carousel of traditional therapy or hypnotherapy, and they work with these therapists for 3 to 4 years on a subscription basis pretty much, and they're still coping and they haven't recovered? Why is it that someone like you has been in this space a year and is helping people make full recoveries within a month to 2 months? Make that make sense?
That's it right there. I mean, look, I've done unprecedented things in the DPDR community. There's not a single other person in this whole world, I don't care if they've been doing this for 40 years, that have the amount of recoveries I have, and also the speed. There have been clients of mine that have recovered in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And actually, I had one client recover in 9 days, which is crazy to say.
Wow.
Mind you, he only had it.
That's impressive.
He only had it for a couple weeks prior, but that plays a big role in it, but doesn't take away from the accomplishment that he did it. And you know, I still talk to him this day. He's an awesome guy. But therapists, hypnotherapists, doctors, it all comes down to one thing, that they have not gone through it themselves. They can tell you everything in this world. They could probably even tell you the right steps, but first of all, they don't. Even if they did, you don't have the trust in them to believe that they're going through what you're going through, right? Once you work with someone that you know, Magnus, Andres, we've been through it. We know exactly what steps to take. That's when everything changes, you know? Because with therapists, all they do in reality, all they're there for, truthfully, is to try to help you, you know? But they haven't really been through that specific case scenario. So they've studied books. Yeah, they're certified, they're licensed, they have a doctorate degree and God knows what. But it can only take you so far, because the information out there of how to overcome anxiety is fucked. There's no good real information, and therapists learn off that. I don't blame the therapists. It's just their education level. It's just that their lack of experience. You know, I don't blame them at all for doing what they do. They try. You know, I'm sure they're not malicious. It's not they're malicious about it anyway. They have good intentions, but they simply lack the experience. They lack the skills to do it. You know, that's it. They lack the skills. They're not qualified enough to do it. Not they're not licensed enough. Not they're not educated enough. They are unqualified to teach or help someone go through something so severe. They just don't know it.
The experience qualifies you, and the results you've got for yourself qualifies you, as well as the results you've got for your clients, which we both have in abundance.
Of course.
What are some of the common myths in the anxiety space? What are some of the bullshit that you see online that we need to call out?
There's too much bullshit. There's just too much. First of all, I think we start by that, saying that therapy is the way. I don't have anything against therapists, but how do you compare a therapist with, for example, us, someone who's been there, done that, has replicated countless of results? I find it at this point insulting, honestly, when someone says that they're going to try it with a therapist. I find it insulting.
I do as well.
I feel like I'm being compared to, it's like comparing, I don't even know how to put this, just comparing like a lion to a cat, a house cat. I am the fucking lion, to be honest, and the therapist is the house cat, and they're going to learn that the hard way. You know, I have one client in particular, Daniela, she's probably watching this. We almost started working together, and then she's like, I'm going to try a therapy way. I didn't push her. You know, I said, look, you are going to learn. I'm not, look, I wish the best for you, but I know you're going to come back. And what did she do? She came back. Yeah. And we just overcame DPDR together in like 37, 39 days.
Well done, man.
And she had to learn that. And some people have to go through that. Some of them, their parents force them to go the traditional way.
Isn't it? It's just societal programming.
Societal programming. That's what it is. The traditional way to do things. They think that's the way. No therapist out there has the results we have. No, not even fucking close. Not even close.
It's funny you said Danielle. I had a client join the program yesterday who's called Danielle, so that's a bit weird.
Really? No, it's Daniela.
Oh yeah, no, Daniela.
Oh really?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it's that saying, that spelling. Yeah, I totally agree. But you know, if you to look at it, you said about they've not walked a day in the client's shoes. Most therapists, the vast majority, have never experienced what it's like to have an anxiety disorder. Maybe they've had some sort of experience with depression, or maybe they felt lost at one point in their lives. And
or maybe they specialize in anxiety.
Yeah. Or even that. But yeah, so let's take that. Even if they specialize in anxiety, what happens? And I've been to therapy. I know how it works. And I'm not saying it's completely unhelpful. It did help me to vent at one point in my life. It didn't help me recover. It helped me feel better. Which is a key distinction. But why is it a problem? You go to therapy once a week, right? You go, the clock's on 60 minutes, right? I know this. They kick you out on the dot. Trust me. They kick you out on the dot, my man. And they don't want to know you for the next week. They have strict boundaries with their clients, which maybe they didn't do for regulations. Right. But the difference between a therapist with the work we do is we speak to our clients every single day. We make sure that every day they're making a step towards recovery.
That's it.
Every day I check with my clients, what are your intentions for today? What are you doing to push the boundaries? I call them out in the group chat. Yesterday, there was a girl who didn't send me a picture of her car exposure. I called her out in the group chat. I said, not good enough.
No.
And I called her out, and I got on the phone with another client who lives in America. And I said to him, you're slacking. I'm not having it. I don't want to work with you if you carry on like this.
That's
and I mean that. I say it because it's wasting their time and money. It's wasting my time and money. And we don't have a magic wand where we can go. It's like, that's the thing I don't like about hypnotherapy, is that people think, oh, I'll go to hypnotherapy and they'll just brainwash me to change. But there's no action taking. It's like brainwash me to get on a plane. It's like, that might help familiarize yourself with the images of a plane, but there's no substitute for rewiring your brain every day, because it's a daily process, and then just getting on the fucking plane.
That's it.
So I do take it personally as well. And it might sound a bit arrogant. When someone says, I'm going to go to a therapist, I just go, okay, you're going to have to suffer the hard way.
That's it, bro.
And I'll see you in a few months. And if I don't, then God help you. And I know that sounds, to some people that might sound arrogant, but I just know it to be true, because I've seen so many people. Pretty much every single client of mine has been through numerous therapists.
Agreed. Yes.
And every single one of them said it was the best investment of my life to work with Magnus.
Same.
And I imagine yours is the same, right?
It's the same, man. I mean, it's not like I blame them for going to therapy.
No, but it doesn't make that's the thing. It makes sense. It makes sense in some way, because if they're ignorant, they're going to think, okay, here's Magnus and Andreas, they're young people. They've only been in this, I've been in the space for 3 years. You've been in the space for a year. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense that logically, it doesn't make sense that someone who's been in the space 30 years with all the qualifications, who've worked with probably thousands of clients, it makes sense that they would do a better job. But it comes down to, they haven't experienced it, and they don't show up on a daily basis holding their hand and keeping them accountable and whipping them into place when they're not doing what they should be doing. They come back and go, well, I bet they don't even ask. Some therapists, I bet they don't even ask, what actions have you taken again? They'll go back into the past trauma.
It's just the same thing over and over again, man. And look, for DPDR specifically, I've said this. I think talk therapy is one of the worst things you can do. One of the worst things you can do by far. Okay, there's many layers to this. Number one, you're expecting someone to help you who's never been there. Okay, doesn't make any sense. So your expectations are going to be crushed really, really quick. You're going to just be like, man, what is this guy talking about? Like, I want solutions, and that's going to crush you. You're, number one, that's it, right? You're going to feel like, wow, if this therapist can't help me and I feel like shit still, I'm over. It's done for me.
True.
You know what I mean? It's done for me.
Very true.
If you go to doctors and you're like, hey, I don't feel real. And like, first of all, clients have told me I don't even trust the doctors enough to tell them that. Like, I don't feel like they're going to understand anyways. You tell them that, they're going to look at you like you're crazy. I've had a client tell me the doctor literally went on his computer in front of him and searched up DPDR. How would that make someone feel to be like, wow, it's over for me? If the doctor can't help me, it's done. I'm done. Another point with therapy is you go there every week, right? What happens subconsciously every time you're showing up to therapy? You're reminding yourself you have this thing called DPDR. You're reminding yourself that you're broken. And you might not be a conscious thought. It's definitely subconscious. You're reminding your nervous system that something needs to be fixed, and you're going to this dude who's supposed to help you, supposed to fix you. That subconsciously keeps you in the cycle all over again. Third, you go to the therapist session and all you do is talk about it. How have you been feeling this week? Just ruminating and talking about it over and over again and making it your life, making that the most important thing in your life.
Yeah.
And obviously they're unqualified anyways. So it's a shit show. It's a shit show. I've never heard of someone overcoming DPDR solely through a therapist. Never. I've had so many men of clients quit the therapy within a week or two. They were going to hypno, they were going to talk, EMDR, all this stuff. They're like, I had this one client say like, I can't stand this girl anymore. Like, it's over. Like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's a shame that people think that's the way and don't think there's another way. It really, really just limits everything.
Yeah.
It limits everything.
100%. Another scam, in my opinion, is medication.
Medication.
It's another scam.
one.
It's another token that people give themselves, that they're broken. It's like, I'm taking this because I'm broken. There's no medication will never help you break the cycle, because the only person that can help you break the cycle is yourself, and what you tell yourself, and the confirmation bias that we went into. That's the only way you break the cycle. And people are the reason people take medication and go to talk therapy is because they want to do it the easy way. I've got a client at the moment called Sarah, and she's even admitted this. She's like, I've been suffering for 3 years, and to be honest, I knew that exposure therapy was an option. I just wanted the easy way.
Of course they do. Of course I did too.
Yeah, everyone does.
Everyone wants the quick fix.
Yeah.
What they don't realize, I'm going to talk specifically for DPDR, there is no SSRI, there is no benzo, there's nothing out there that's going to help you get rid of DPDR. I've heard some people say it suppresses their anxiety a little bit. It makes them feel like a zombie. That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Like, makes them feel less emotionally there, like more numb to it. Fair enough. You're still in the cycle. The boat is sinking. You're putting a little band-aid on it when it needs massive amounts of tape or something else. You know, it's a band-aid solution. And for a lot of people, it becomes identity-based. They start to identify with, I'm an anxious person. I take Lexapro. I take God knows what other SSRIs.
Yeah.
And they start to become identified with it. And
yeah,
it sticks with you. And it sticks with you.
It comes back to the identity, but also what it also does is it numbs everything. So they might not be experiencing severe anxiety anymore, but it's under the carpet. And I remember I worked with a client from Colorado. She had anxiety for around 9 years. She took medication. It went away. Brilliant. Problem solved. 9 years later, the effects of the medication started to wear off. So she started to freak out again. She started to experience these things she hadn't experienced in 9 years. So that's when she came to me. And that's what medication does. It numbs everything, but it doesn't teach you the skill set, the mental skill set and the nervous system skill set to actually break the cycle for good. So even if you can like push it aside for a year or two, it's going to come back, and it's going to come back stronger.
It's going to come back.
This is how you recover from anxiety. It's when you feel so fucking confident to handle anything life throws at you, any symptom, any thought, and you no longer are fazed by it. That's when you break the cycle. There's no substitute for that. How would you get that confidence? Rewiring your brain, rewiring your beliefs, and changing your actions and acting in alignment with your higher self, acting like you don't have anxiety. That's the only way. So for people watching this, that's the only way. Tell me another way. There's no other way, man. No other way. And that's why obviously we connect and we get along, is because we understand that I don't know many coaches and many anxiety therapists who share our teachings.
I don't know anyone, to be honest with you.
I don't know any.
I don't know any. And that's why I was so relieved. Like, the first voice message I sent you was, Magnus, thank you for what you do, because there's no one in this space that teaches that. There's no one in this space that teaches that. They are, and here's another, actually I want to talk about this. I don't think any of these anxiety coaches or therapists are living their life truly 100% free. I'm not going to name call, but there's this woman out there. Really? There's this woman out there who admits, she's one of the top anxiety coaches. She admits that she experiences anxiety sometimes, that she experiences intrusive thoughts and this and that sometimes, but she just surrenders to it. She's peaceful with it. She lets it fly away. And she even like flexes that sometimes she's like, oh my God, like I'm taking like a plane ride. It's come to the point for me where I have to remind myself, like, oh yeah, this is good to post on social media, like to go like to travel and things. To me, it's so normal now, but I have to literally go out of my way to be like, oh yeah, this will give hope to some people, because I remember I've been there. But we're living so free to where, like, yesterday we were riding on your scooter dashing through streets of Bali. I'm out here in Bali with hundreds of people, like, on scooters, like the most chaotic environment, plane rides, like,
meeting new
like
people,
everything, just like living freely. You know, I go to music festivals, like I do everything I want to do, and I know these gurus out there, if you put them in that same environment, they will not thrive in there. Yeah, they will not.
No, they won't. And I'm the same, man. One thing I have to do on a regular basis is remind myself of the struggles, because I don't struggle. So I have to really like take my mind back and understand This is what it felt like. This is what my clients are feeling. Because, like, for example, I'll just get on a plane, no anxiety. I'll just rock up to anything that would trigger me before, no anxiety. Mm-hmm. And I have to just remember that so I can resonate with my clients a bit more. But I think a lot of anxiety I think a lot of anxiety coaches and therapists are struggling still.
I think so too.
I think they're just coping because, of course, they're coping because what they teach doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
So of course they're going to be still in the cycle to some extent. I'm not saying they're in it like they were.
No.
Because you've still got to be like, in fairness to them, I'll be truthful. In order to hold space for someone, you have to have done a lot of work. You have to have healed to some extent, right?
Of course.
But to make a full recovery, I don't even know if a lot of them have made a full recovery because they're not putting themselves in situations that test them. You're not healed if you don't if you're in a situation where you're not exposing yourself to triggers. Like, you can't pretend you're healed if you're going throughout your life and not doing triggering things. Like that. So do you know what I mean? Like, for me, I came to Bali, didn't know anyone. I literally flew here by myself. I didn't know anyone for the first 2 weeks. I made friends. I was running my business, helping people change their lives. And I did like my first public speaking gig. I broke up with my ex all in a week. There's no way I would have been able to handle all of that stuff in such a short period of time if I hadn't done the work I'd done. And that's a big point, man. And I don't think that's why you see conversations like this, because most people probably can't handle it.
They literally cannot handle it.
So
they can't do it. Man, that's so deep. And yeah, I have some questions written down.
How long we got?
I think like 20 minutes, unless like you want to count the time we actually started. But
we're exposing some people right now. I know who you're on about. I think I can guess who you're on about when you said that.
Yeah, and like there's more people that pop up on our For You page that say the same thing. Like they try to act like guys, listen, my anxiety has decreased so much. Let me tell you how. If you're still experiencing anxiety to that level, you're not recovered.
No.
You're not recovered. And that's not to say you're never going to experience anxiety again.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course you will at the appropriate moments, right?
But let's make that distinction, because there's disordered anxiety and then there's normal levels of anxiety.
Right, of course.
I still experience nerves in things that are triggering. Like,
absolutely.
For example, I got a needle, because it's a bit bruised actually. I got an IV, and most of my life I've been like scared of that.
Absolutely.
Before the needle went in, I was experiencing an elevated heart rate. I was feeling slightly nervous.
Of course.
So that's normal. But what isn't normal is not being able to handle the emotions when they come up, being overwhelmed by them, being debilitated by them. That's when you're in that severe chronic anxiety state. And I think that's a key distinction. Like, me and you will have times in our life where we experience anxiety.
Of course.
Because we're fucking human beings.
Of course.
It'd be a bit, you know what? I'd be worried.
I'd be worried.
Because that means you've had a brain injury. That means your amygdala's been disarmed. And from maybe a car, like people have that when they get into car accidents where their part of their limbic system, their part of their brain that's responsible for fight or flight gets damaged. So they can walk to an edge of a cliff and feel nothing. But that's
crazy.
So that's what I want people to know as well, is that it's normal to experience anxiety. It's not normal to hyperfixate on symptoms. It's not normal to feel like you're living outside your body.
No.
It's not normal to have regular panic attacks. It's not normal to have panic attacks.
No.
It's not normal. For no reason. It's not normal.
Yeah, like you should feel anxiety before an exam. You should feel anxiety, or anxiety but it's more nervousness, right? It's more nervous. It's like, I was nervous to meet you yesterday, for example.
Yeah.
Whoop-de-doo. You know, I'm in Bali with Magnus. Like, whoop-de-doo. Like, I was nervous. I don't know. Just like regular things, man. Just like, for example, before a potential client call, like when I would take my own calls.
You want to show that you're the real deal. There's pressure. There is pressure, but pressure's a good thing as well.
Pressure's a good thing.
So anxiety isn't a bad thing.
It's not.
It's like if you feel some nerves and some anxiety before a client because you give a shit, because you care. You want to give them the best possible experience. You want to change their lives. And if you were so laid back, man, and you're like, oh, I feel no anxiety. Let's do whatever. You're not going to deliver the best results. No. So it's a performance as well. It like increases performance.
It does. Boom.
So
yeah, what else we got? Yeah, what are 3 things you wish you knew before, when you were struggling and you made the decision to recover?
I wish I knew that recovery is a decision. I wish I knew that when you decide you're going to do everything it takes and you align your whole mind and soul and behavior with that end, it's inevitable. I wish I knew that, because I used to think that it was determined by outside forces, like external things would determine my recovery journey. You know, naturally, the universe would either keep it in my body or, you know, I outsourced it externally instead of going, when I change my mind, when I change the story I'm telling myself, when I no longer say I'm an anxious person, when I say that recovery is inevitable, when I say I don't struggle with anxiety anymore, when I fake it till I make it, I will recover, frankly. That's one thing I wish I knew.
Same.
Secondly, I wish I realized that I had more resilience than I thought originally. I wish I knew that I do not have to do what anxiety tells me to do. Because this is the thing. When you're experiencing a high bout of anxiety, you're convinced that you have to listen to what anxiety tells you to do. Whether it's check your pulse, whether it's Google a symptom, whether it's seek reassurance, whether it's pull the car over. You are like, people are so convinced that if they don't listen to the thought and the feelings in their body, then they're going to pass away. I wish I knew. I would have recovered way quicker if I said to myself, I'd rather die than recover. But then again, I had to go to that dark place. I had to hit rock bottom.
Rock bottom. You have
to snap my fingers and go, fuck it, you're going to have to kill me. So I wish I knew about the calling the bluff. It's like anxiety's got like a 2 and a 3, right? We're playing poker, right? You're someone who's taken on anxiety. You've got a king and an ace. You've got the best cards, man. Every single person has the best cards against anxiety. You just don't react to it. You just don't fear it. You just tell yourself, fear fears me, motherfucker. Fear fears me. You're gonna have to take me fucking out. Yeah. That's the mindset every single person needs. They need that warrior. Everyone's got a warrior inside them. They don't tap into it. That's why you recovered. That's why I recovered.
Everyone's got it.
Everyone's got it, man. They just need to tap into it. Thirdly, what I wish people knew.
What do you wish you knew?
Sorry, what I wish I knew. Yeah, that everything that's happening to me is happening for me.
Boom.
Every single unfortunate, quote unquote, event is actually a blessing. Every single hardship is a blessing. Every single uncertainty is a blessing. And that's how I live my life now. I'm not scared of anything because I see the potential for growth in the things that I don't want to happen. So if something bad happens, let's say one of my relatives dies, there's an opportunity there. Let's say that I get really sick, there's an opportunity there. It doesn't matter what it is. Life is determined by the labels you give to what happens to you, not to what happens to you. People think, oh, that's such a bad thing. They're wrong.
It's perspective.
It's perspective.
That's it.
You get to decide that this illness that you're experiencing, that this disorder that you're experiencing, that this passing away that you're experiencing can be the best possible thing that happens to you when you have the right mindset. There's no such thing as a setback if you decide that setbacks don't exist.
Bang.
That's what I wish I knew, because I used to be in this victim mindset of the universe fucking hates me. That everything in my life, all the shit I went through in my childhood, everything that I went through in university with the disorder meant that I was an unlucky person. That's the identity no wonder I was fucking struggling. When I changed my identity, my paradigm, and when I started telling myself every single thing is happening for me, every single thing is a blessing that's happening to me, don't care what it is, I get to decide that, my life changed forever. That's what I wish I knew. And I recommend every single person to look into Stoicism. I read
Stoicism is great.
A book by Marcus Aurelius called Meditations.
I knew it.
That book changed my life more than any other book. The Obstacles is the Way by Ryan Holiday. And David Goggins, I listened to many of his podcasts as well as reading half of his book that you suggested. And that was genuinely, that's what gave me the mindset to go all out and go all in.
Go all in.
And that's what I share. That's what I share. I say the third one is the most important.
Wow, that's deep.
What about you, bro?
What?
What do you wish you knew?
What did I wish I knew? Okay. Number 1, I wish I knew that the life I wanted was a couple weeks away. I wish I knew that, because I was so close to giving up. I was so close to letting everything go, to just let everything go to waste. And I did not know. I wish I knew that 5 weeks from that day, I was going to be fully recovered and be so fucking happy and grateful with life. That's what I wish I knew, number 1. Number 2, I wish I knew during recovery that I wasn't going crazy. I was not going crazy. And everything that I was experiencing was absolutely normal. And other people have been there and have overcame it. I wish I genuinely knew that I was not losing my mind and that it was DPDR and anxiety. Man, I wish I knew a lot of things, man. But I think those two are really important. And I wish I knew that your brain is infinitely reprogrammable. It's infinitely rewirable. And that if you control what goes into your brain, you control the outcome. You control your life you live. I wish I knew those things. It would have given me so much hope knowing that recovery is not possibility. It is inevitable with the right steps. Absolutely guaranteed. I wish I knew that, because if I knew that, I'd be like, the belief is there. It's possible. If I do this, I will recover. That is how the brain works. You know? Wish I knew those things, man.
That was powerful, man. That was powerful. Wow. Every point there hit me deeply. What one message do you want to give to people who are struggling deeply with DPDR or anxiety? What message would you like to give them?
I mean, I want to say, first of all, I know exactly what it's like to be you. I know down to a T what you're experiencing. It is the worst thing a human can experience. It is dehumanizing. It takes away everything. Everything you thought, every single aspect of every part of your life, it takes it away. And I know what that's like. And I'm here to tell you that that is not an excuse to not recover. That is not an excuse to feel sorry for yourself. And that is not an excuse to quit on yourself. Me being there and knowing what it's like, I feel for you. I don't feel bad for you. Because I know it takes a decision. I know it takes a decision. So I'm not going to sit here and coddle you and say that it's okay to live your life like that. It's not. It is the opposite of okay. It is your choice. You're hearing it firsthand here. When I was going through it, I didn't have anyone to tell me this. You're hearing it firsthand. I know what it's like to be you. It is the worst thing you'll ever experience. When you overcome this, you will live the best life you've ever lived. If you decide to. If you don't decide to, you're going to have to live with that. Yeah. You're going to have to live with that, and you're going to have to live with knowing that I'm here telling you that it's possible, you can do it, and you chose not to do it. You can also choose to do it.
That's I want to echo what you said there. I don't want to validate people's sob stories. I don't want to validate people. So I empathize with people.
Of course.
I feel for them.
Of course.
My heart goes out to them. But I don't want to give anyone a reason to stay where they are. I don't want to give anyone a reason to, oh, it's okay. You just, keep taking the medication. Keep avoiding the exposures. It's okay. Things will work themselves out. I promise you. I see that online actually from some anxiety coaches. I promise you will heal. That's fucking bullshit, because you can't promise anyone that they will heal. What you can promise them is that if they align their whole mind and life towards recovery, they will heal. But I promise you, it's giving them false hope. It's telling them you will heal. Well, will they heal? Well, they will only heal if they take the necessary actions. And that does my head in. There's too much sugarcoating. There's too much be kind to yourself. Don't get me wrong. It's important to be kind to yourself. It's important to love yourself.
It is.
It's important to healing. However, with recovery, there's a big element that gets overlooked, which is tough love. It's like, and this is something you do great, and this is something that I do great. No, I'm not having that. I'm not fucking having that from myself, but from also my clients as well. Right? It's like, I'm not having that. I'm setting a new standard here.
Bang. I
have to set a new standard. And that's where recovery, it's like, no longer doing safety behaviors, no longer sleeping in, whatever it is that's creating the DPDR, whatever is creating the symptoms, you've got to just say, there's a line in the sand. I'm not doing it.
I'm not doing it.
And if you don't, and I'll say to people who, if you're watching this and you're going, oh, fuck Magnus and Andreas, like, I'm going to carry on doing it. Please go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Please be my guest. Have fun suffering. And you basically get out what you choose. If you choose to draw a line in the sand after watching this podcast, you will recover. But if you don't, then fine. It's your choice.
It's a choice, man. It's a choice. And people have a hard time coming to terms with that because they've never been held accountable in their life. Everything is my parents, my this, my boss, my work, my this. When you say, okay, it's me. The common denominator has been me this whole time. Yeah, fucked up shit can happen to you. You had that panic attack. Did you deserve it? No. Was it the worst shit you've ever been through? Yes. You have the choice to make. No one can make that choice for you. and you will overcome it with the right steps. You will overcome it if you decide to, you know. That's something like I respond back in my comments. Sometimes people say like, oh, I'm struggling with this, blah blah. I say you will overcome it if you want it bad enough. You will overcome it.
Not
with
promise.
the right steps.
You're not promising it that they will recover. Just blanket.
No, not at all, man. But yeah, it's tough love, and honestly, I don't know how I would react hearing this if I was going through it. But that's okay, because I know the truth. I know the truth. And again, I want to reemphasize that it is absolutely the worst disorder you can go through. Absolutely takes everything from you.
Yeah.
And you have the ability to overcome this. You have it. You have it. And I know it feels impossible. I know it's fucking scary. It's fucking scary. But if you want it bad enough, if you take the right steps, you will do it. It's
There
that
we
simple,
go, man.
That's
There we
simple. What else we got? One more thing I want to bring up about like the therapy one more time is I feel like it's bizarre. It's beyond me that most of my clients have gone to therapy for months and years, yet they don't have an action plan. What is up with not having an action plan? Are you following? It's like the blind following the blind.
Yeah.
If you don't have an action plan, you're not going to recover. That's simple. That's simple. That's non-negotiable. If you do not have an action plan of what you're going to do every single day, you will not overcome this. And it's disturbing to me. It's disturbing that therapists don't give an action plan. They don't say, hey, Magnus, tomorrow I want you to do exactly these things.
Yeah.
Actually, matter of fact, this week I want you to do exactly this every single day. It's disturbing, man.
Well, it's basically guaranteeing that the client won't recover, because action outside of therapy is what determines recovery. The thing is, the coaching sessions that we host gives people the right ideas, it gives them the right action plan, it gives them the right belief system, it gives them the right mindset. But that alone won't mean anything if they're not going out and doing exposures and rewiring their brain outside of sessions. And that's why the accountability part is just as important as the coaching side. It's like making sure that people are posting photos and videos within our community saying, I'm doing this, or checking and going, I'm doing this today. That's the most important part. That's more important than the coaching.
Yeah,
I agree. Obviously, you need the coaching because they need to know the right approach mentally. They need to know the right mindset to approach the exposures. They need to know how to rewire their brain. They need to know how to signal safety to their nervous system. But that's only one part of the puzzle, and therapy doesn't even cover that part. But it also misses out on the biggest part, which is action. So
that's it, bro.
Yeah.
And like the key distinction between my program, like a coaching program, and therapy is, first of all, it's uncomparable. But how could you not recover if, number one, you get all the education you need, you know? You go through, for example, my course, you get all the education you need on what is DPDR, how do you overcome it, what rules to follow, what steps to take, and how to approach the situation. Number two, you get direct guidance from someone that's been there and knows everything you're going through and knows exactly how to help you respond in every given moment and is there 24/7 for you. Number three, you have weekly calls with them to really dive deep into what how the week has been and how we can optimize and recover even quicker. And number four, having a community, having a little community who are open-minded, who are all like-minded, who are doing this together, who are going at it together, who are going through what you're going through and are killing it on a day-to-day basis. You have every single aspect that you need. Even with my clients, I help shape their whole For You page. Their whole Instagram is changed. I literally control every aspect of their life, without obviously being overwhelming. That's the last thing you want, to be overwhelming. There's steps to this in my program. There's 3 phases we go through. Every week is something different. And it's personalized depending on what they're going through and what exactly their situation is. How could you not overcome it? How could you not recover?
Well, it's inevitable.
It's inevitable
because they're human beings. But then that's something else. People think that they're different. They think that they are different, that to other people have recovered. Think, well, they did that. They had the same trauma, but I can't do it. They have this idea in their head that they're different.
I had it a year ago, so I know what it's like.
Yeah, I used to believe that I was broken and that I couldn't be fixed. So I understand it. But the good thing about having a community like you have and like me, I have a really tight-knit, intimate group where every single day people are encouraging each other and holding each other to account. It's needed as well because it can be a very lonely journey. And having other people to validate what you're going through. I've had the same thing. I got through this, and that's the thing, like in my program, there's people at different parts of recovery. Some people are like nearly at the end, some people at the beginning. So the people at the end in my program show my clients who have just started what is possible. So they're not just taking it from me. They're not saying, oh, Magnus recovered. They're seeing, oh, Will, John, you know, they've recovered now, and they're still at the end of the they're still in the program, but they've recovered. And that shifts their belief system, because seeing it with their own eyes, we're seeing it on TikTok. If they see people, oh, that person recovered, that anxiety coach recovered, where they see it in the community of someone who's followed the same process that they're on, who've recovered, it just gives them another level of belief. And I think having a community is so much, it's so important, more than just doing the one-to-one coaching. It's having the community is essential for healing, because it shifts their belief system. It
shifts your belief system. It shifts your mindset. Like, man, I did such a good job with my course. I filmed it. I was very specific with what I was saying, but I was very raw and authentic. So everything I was saying hit deep. I think I did such a good job with my course that, for example, I had a new client just the other day. He's 3 days in. We haven't even scheduled our first call. He's still going through the course. He tells me, man, this changed me. Like, this itself, like, you're God sent, you know? I was hesitant at first, but just this, he's been 3 days in. We've had one conversation, and he's already feeling better, because it's all about the mindset. You know, it's all about shifting and breaking your self-limiting beliefs. And honestly, perspective plays such a key role in it. You know, without the perspective, you're just blind, man. You're just like, you're trying to fit a stick in like a hole that you just can't fit it in, you know?
Very true. Very true. So with your program, you get people to watch all the trainings before they jump on a one-to-one call. So how long does that take them?
It's not a long course, man. It's not a long course. It takes them about, if you can do it in one sitting, it takes you about 5 to 6 hours.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
5 to 6 hours. It's not a long course, but it's impactful, man. And we break it down, like, specifically. Number 1 is the introduction to the program. Number 2 is the pep talk to get you guys to get them in the right mindset, that life or death mindset. You need to be there. So I'm going to get you there. If you're not there already, I'm going to get you there. The pep talk. Then the education is really important. You have to understand what's going on, why it's happening. And number 4 is how to actually overcome it. So we talk about rewiring the brain. And then the next one is the mandatory rules of DPDR recovery. I have 16 rules, in depth, video and PDF, about exactly the rules we're going to follow. And then from there, I have a general action plan. The general action plan, the 7 daily non-negotiables they're going to follow.
Nice.
After that, we talk supplements, books, nutrition. After that, they hop on a call with me and we personalize that game plan. That call is all about getting to know them on a really deep level and then personalizing a recovery action plan for them.
Nice.
After that, bro, they're like rockets, man. I've seen people change everything about themselves in a day after that call. Everything about themselves, they changed. They feel 10 times better. They're on a proven path. They trust me. Their nervous system trusts me. And therefore, I get instant results, bro. It's insane. It's crazy what the brain is capable of given the right information, man.
What are some of those rules that you have?
Number 1, stop researching.
Yeah.
That's the first rule. Stop researching.
I tell my clients that as well. Yeah.
That's the number 1 rule. Stop researching. No matter what it is, stop researching. Number 2 is assess and align every single aspect of your life. So you have to be really, really hard on yourself and strict on yourself of what is serving you in your life and what is not. Down to the food you eat, the media you consume, the people you hang around, your job, everything, your relationships, everything about your life. You have to be really hard on yourself. Assess and realign. Changing your social media, huge. That's its own separate rule. That's how important it is.
Yeah.
Changing your social media and making everything be aligned to your higher self is one of the most important things too. I have so many, man. The I don't give a fuck rule is one of them. The I don't give a fuck rule is I don't give a fuck what comes into my path, what symptoms show up, what obstacles I face. I will get through it. And I don't give a fuck about DPDR anymore. Business is business. Let's approach this with that mindset.
Love that, man.
Yeah, there's so many.
That I don't give a fuck rule, I think before we wrap up, that's so important, because I have it with clients who join the program who start saying, but I'm dealing with this symptom, but I'm having this setback. And I have to really get into their heads. And I get it with people who aren't even working with me. I get it, people DM me. And I just say, you need to start disregarding all the symptoms. You need to start being disrespectful to them. They don't mean shit in your mind from now onwards. You have to make it that rule. I don't want to hear it one more time about, oh, but I'm dealing with this. No one cares. You shouldn't care either. Because the more you care about the symptom, the more you're telling your brain it's important.
It's important.
The more you're reinforcing your reactions, your resistance to it when you experience it in your body. Instead of just like letting it be there, it's going to go away by itself. So saying, I don't give a fuck what I experience, I need to do X, Y, Z. The work remains the same. That's the thing. The work remains the same.
The work remains the same.
Whether you have a symptom is irrelevant. You still show up and get in the car. You still show up and do your affirmations. You still show up and read the necessary resources that you've given them. That stays the same. So do it with symptoms. That's my message. Do it with symptoms. Do it with intrusive thoughts, and stop giving them focus and attention. And guess what will happen? They'll go away because your brain will stop prioritizing them. It'll start flagging them. It'll be like, oh, just another intrusive thought. Cool. Just washes away.
Yeah.
That's I don't give a fuck rule. I love it.
It's huge.
Yeah.
One of the most important, I think that I should have said this earlier. This is one of the most important concepts I teach, and is one of the things I start off with in my course. I don't want you to view this as anxiety or DPDR recovery. I want you to view this as becoming the best version of yourself, the road to your higher self. Okay? Because the problem is, Magnus, if people are approaching every affirmation, or they're, let's say, oh, Andres told me to go to the gym. Oh, I have to go to the gym because I want to get rid of the DPDR.
Yeah.
That, you can't have that. You can't have that. So from the beginning, I make it very clear. This is not DPDR recovery. I know that's what you paid me for. I know that's what you're here for. But you have to have this mindset shift of, I'm not doing this to get rid of my DPDR. I'm doing this to become the best version of myself and become the version of myself I need to be to overcome DPDR. That's it. So that's why rarely do I talk symptoms with my clients. It's not because they aren't going through symptoms or go through symptoms. It's because I have it in my program. So I tell them that it's one of the most important things is like, this is not, I don't want you to view me as a DPDR coach, because if you're doing these things just to get rid of DPDR, it's always going to stay, because you're making that important. You're making that the most important thing in your life. You know, it's hard to get to that point. And, you know, just by me saying this, you probably won't understand this. You need a deeper level, a deeper talk and deeper discussion of what that means. You know, what are the worst things someone can do during their recovery? I feel like we touched upon exactly what to do. So if you're not doing that, that's one of the worst things you can do, to be honest. I already said it myself. I genuinely believe like talk therapy and reminding yourself every week is one of the worst things you can do. It's one of the worst things you can do. I also believe researching is one of the worst things you can do. I also believe that feeling sorry for yourself is one of the worst things you can do. Yeah. I believe that also not going all in, not going 110% in, and making excuses and tricking yourself to think that, oh yeah, I am doing that, one of the worst things you can do.
100%.
Main reasons why people don't recover.
Well, the main reasons why people don't recover is because they're scared of exposures. They don't want to expose themselves to life. They don't want to feel the symptoms. They're scared of the symptoms. They don't put themselves in a situation where they are feeling that adrenaline, where they are feeling that fear come up, where they are feeling that DPDR come up. That's the biggest reason. People avoid that. And people don't have the tools and the mindset to go into those situations with confidence. So that's the biggest thing. Not understanding how to actually calm your body down, how to approach it with the mindset of kill or be killed, how to rewire your brain, tell yourself a new story, stop focusing on the old story, stop focusing on the symptoms, telling yourself, I will be anxiety free, I will handle this symptom, I'm a master of anxiety, it doesn't faze me anymore. That's the biggest thing. It's not having access to the right information and tools and not giving it your all. That's why people don't recover. And looking at crutches like supplements, medication, therapy, it's looking for coping mechanisms why people don't recover.
Looking for quick fixes.
Looking for quick fixes instead of doing the real work, which we've discussed at large. So that's the biggest reason. And it's just going to the wrong person, because it can actually be detrimental. To go to the wrong coach or go to the wrong therapist can be super detrimental, because it reinforces the coping mechanisms that they're already doing, and then they think they're broken. And that when they believe they're broken because they haven't recovered in 10 years, then it's very challenging for someone like me or you to really shift their paradigm, especially if they're not even working with us. So that's it. It's as simple as that, man.
Agreed, man. And I'll like, funny enough, like I actually don't teach exposures. It's funny because like, again, DPDR anxiety is different. I do not teach exposures because during exposure, you're basically seeking the discomfort, right? You're telling yourself, I am going to do that thing that provokes anxiety. In my case, I'm really strict on not reminding yourself that you're doing things because of anxiety or DPDR. That's just how I function. So I don't do any I don't tell my clients to do exposures. But the reason why people don't recover, it comes down to, first of all, obviously lack of information. You don't know what I know. You just don't know it, right? Number two, I think one of the most important things, or the most important thing, is the belief that it's possible. The belief that it's possible. That is the most important thing. When you search up DPDR, even recovery stories, I don't feel like they're that inspirational. I feel like that's something I've done really well, is shift the paradigm. That I even have it in my bio. I help people overcome DPDR in 1 to 8 weeks. Okay? It shifts what you believe is possible. It shifts what you believe is possible, and that shifts everything. You know? It's like, before Usain Bolt, people, it was like the scientists thought the fastest a human could ever run, it was like 9.65 seconds, something like that. The fastest. Usain Bolt broke that record, and guess what? All of a sudden, all the competitors who were stuck at a 9.8, all of a sudden, just Usain Bolt being that pioneer, there's 17-year-old kids nowadays who are inching in. But without Usain Bolt, without that pioneer, you would have never believed it was possible.
Yeah.
And that shows like the power of the mind right there.
So true. It's like the 4-minute mile. No one believed you could run a 4-minute mile. And then I think, is it David Bannister, something like that? He ran it, and then everyone started running it. And it's the same with me and you. It's like, we've shown what's possible. We've shown the lifestyle you can have. We've shown how you can feel inside, the freedom you can experience when you follow this process. So it shifts other people's paradigms who believe you only need, you just need to cope. And I want to leave people with this as well.
Let's have our finishing touches here.
What I'd say to people watching this is, learn to love experiencing anxiety. Learn to genuinely enjoy it. Learn to crave it. Learn to want a panic attack. Because what will happen then is your brain will shed all the resistance to it. So learn to love it. Tell yourself, I want a panic attack. I want a heart attack. Whatever it is you fear, tell yourself that you want that. And guess what's going to happen? The fear is going to shed. And do that enough times, and you're actually going to start craving panic attacks, and they're not going to come anymore. But yeah, and I just want to end with this line. As Andreas said, recovery is possible. 100% full recovery is possible. We've shown what's possible. I want you to go away from this podcast and start telling yourself, recovery is happening for me. I'm going to do everything it takes to recover, and I'm not going to stop until it happens. That's all you got to do. And then your reality will unfold and give you the opportunities you need to recover.
I love it. I love it. That I wish we had more time to touch up on the I love it aspect. That's something. There are so many aspects of that you can teach people in recovery. It can't be filled in a podcast.
For sure.
But if I had to leave again this world with something, this podcast with something, it would be, recovery is not only possible, it is inevitable. You will recover if you follow the right steps. Okay? If you've made it to the end of this podcast, I want you, most importantly, is to make a list of 5 to 10 non-negotiable things that you're going to do every single day. Don't overthink it. Don't think like whatever. Just 5 to 10 things. To give you some simple ones. Make your bed every day. Go to sleep at the same time, wake up at the same time every single day. Go do some type of outdoor activity, walking, running every single day. Drink 2.5 liters of water every single day. Those are just some. Meditate every single day. 5 to 10 things. Don't make it super complicated. Make it simple. Start now. Take the first step. I know, like, it might seem like it's a mountain. It's not a mountain. It gets easier as you go, but you have to take the first step. Take the first step. If tomorrow you do not have an action plan that you're going to follow, I just feel like a failure at this point, because that is the most important thing. Like, you need stability, you need structure, and you need to go all in. You need to go all in. I want to reinforce that this is not a suggestion. This list is not like, oh, my daily goals. No. This is your new standard. I do not care if the zombies are knocking at your door and they're coming to get you. I don't care if it's your birthday. I don't care if the sky's falling. I don't care if there's a nuclear war. You will get these non-negotiables done every single day because that is who you are. Because you want to create a new person and you're going to become it. That's it.
That's it.
Pleasure.
Pleasure, man. Over and out.